Shiba Inu just crossed 20,000 burn transactions with 41.08% of the original supply now permanently destroyed. That is over 410 trillion tokens gone forever. And the number that nobody is talking about is what this actually means for where the circulating supply stands today. What is happening and what on earth am I even talking about? Well, let me explain. This content is provided for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Market conditions can change over time. A milestone that the Shiba Inu community has been building toward across thousands of individual transactions and 5 full years of burning activity was confirmed on April 19, 2026. The total burn transaction count has surpassed 20,000. And the cumulative impact of those 20,000 plus transactions tells a story about supply destruction that most people in the broader crypto market have still not fully absorbed. Now here is where it gets interesting. Look at the SHIB chart right now. According to market data, the price is trading at approximately 609 units, up 6.01% in the last 24 hours, adding a meaningful green session on top of a period that had been characterized largely by sideways movement and compression. The market cap stands at approximately $3.57 billion with a circulating supply that has now been trimmed down to 589.16 trillion SHIB. That is 589 trillion tokens remaining from an original launch supply of 1 quadrillion. The difference between those two numbers, more than 410 trillion tokens, represents the permanent destruction recorded across over 20,696 individual burn transactions tracked by on-chain data since the token launched in 2020. And here is what the data actually says. As of April 19, 2026, on-chain burn trackers confirmed that Shiba Inu has recorded a cumulative total of 20,696 burn transactions since the token's creation in 2020. Each of those transactions is an individual and documented blockchain event, verifiable on-chain by anyone who chooses to examine the public ledger, representing a permanent and irreversible removal of tokens from the accessible supply of this asset. Every single one of those transactions represents a permanent, irreversible removal of SHIB tokens from the circulating supply. According to reports, the tokens sent in each of those 20,696 transactions were routed to dead wallet addresses, meaning cryptographic addresses from which no private key exists and from which no transaction can ever be initiated. Once a token arrives at a dead address, it is gone from the accessible supply forever. The aggregate result of those 20,696 transactions is a combined destruction of 410 trillion SHIB tokens. Written out in full, that is 410 trillion, 839,848,304,549 tokens permanently removed from circulation. The dollar value attached to those burn tokens at current prices is $7,358,037,071. Over $7 billion worth of SHIB sent to addresses from which it can never return. And the percentage of the original 1 quadrillion supply that those burn tokens represent is 41.08%. According to reports, 4 out of every 10 SHIB tokens that ever existed no longer exist in any accessible wallet anywhere in the world. But here's the kicker. While the 20,000 transaction milestone and the 41.08% destruction figure dominate the headline, the recent burn activity data adds important context to the picture. According to reports, in the 7 days ending April 19, 2026, a total of 59,338,197 SHIB tokens were sent to dead wallets. That is 59.3 million tokens permanently removed from circulation across a single 7-day window, adding to the cumulative total in a way that confirms the mechanism is still actively operating in real time rather than living only as a historical statistic. The 24-hour figure within that window shows 1,591,370 SHIB burned, which represents an 81.28% decline from the prior day's burn activity. On-chain trackers indicate that single-day decline followed a brief spike observed earlier in the week starting April 15. And the data reflects the natural day-to-day variability in burn rates rather than any fundamental change in the mechanism's direction. The 30-day window shows 196.82 million SHIB purchased on the market during the same period. Burns and purchases operate as separate forces on the available supply and should be evaluated independently. What the combined picture reveals is a burn mechanism grinding steadily across 20,000 plus individual transactions over 5 years, producing the 41.08% destruction figure now confirmed on April 19. Now here is the context that puts the entire 20,696 transaction count and the 41.08% destruction figure into proper perspective. Without understanding this foundational event, the numbers lose significant context. According to reports, the single event that accounts for the overwhelming majority of that 410 trillion token destruction occurred in May 2021, when the anonymous Shiba Inu founder sent half of the original 1 quadrillion token supply to the Ethereum co-founder's wallet without prior coordination or advance warning to the community. The recipient made an immediate and irreversible decision that permanently reshaped the supply structure of this token in ways that continue to define its economics today. He chose to burn 90% of the 500 trillion SHIB he received, routing over 410 trillion tokens to a dead address in a single transaction. The remaining 10% of his holdings was directed to charitable causes rather than retained as a personal position. Analysts note the value of those burned tokens at the time of the transaction was approximately $6 to $7 billion, placing it among the largest individual destruction events in the documented history of financial markets. According to market observers, that single transaction remains completely unmatched in the specific context of burn address targeted transfers. The 20,696 additional transactions recorded since then represent the community and ecosystem building on top of the foundation that landmark event established. Here is what the supply math means for SHIB's long-term structure. The token launched in 2020 with a supply of 1 quadrillion, one followed by 15 zeros. According to reports, that number was so enormous it made the concept of price appreciation toward any value representing meaningful gains appear structurally impossible to most observers who examined the mathematics carefully. The sheer volume of tokens in existence created a ceiling on price that seemed impenetrable without a supply reduction of extraordinary scale. But the destruction of 41.08% of that supply through 20,696 documented transactions has permanently altered the base case for every price target. Calculation this token is subjected to. The 589 trillion tokens that remain in circulation today represent a supply that is already 41% smaller than the number the market started with at launch. Every additional transaction routing tokens to a dead address incrementally tightens the available float. Analysts note, the Shibarium Layer 2 network contributes to this through its automatic burn mechanism, which permanently removes a portion of gas fees collected with every transaction processed across the chain. The burn is not a one-time event. It is a continuous and structural feature of how this ecosystem operates, and layer the 20,696 transaction milestone on top of where Shiba Inu is positioned as a project in April 2026. According to market data, Shibarium is live and processing transactions, with the automatic burn mechanism tied to its gas fee activity, continuing to remove tokens from circulation with each additional block. Over 1.5 million individual wallet holders maintain their positions across the global community. The DAO governance structure is active and giving real participants a voice in ecosystem direction. The price just recorded a 6.01% gain on April 19, the same day this milestone was confirmed. And on that same day, the community confirmed that over 41% of the token's original supply has now been permanently destroyed across more than 20,000 documented transactions worth a cumulative $7.35 billion in value. According to community sources, the 1 cent dream is built on supply destruction at scale. April 19 just confirmed the 41.08% milestone is real, verified, and publicly recorded on the blockchain. The community is not done. Drop your read in the comments below. Does the 20,696 transaction milestone and the 41.08% destruction figure change how you think about SHIB's long-term supply dynamics? Or do you believe the remaining 589 trillion tokens represent an insurmountable ceiling? Click on one of the videos on screen right now, because the next major SHIB development is already building. Turn on the notifications bell, because a supply event of this significance deserves to be followed in real time. And share this video with every SHIB holder you know, because this milestone marks a point of no return in the token supply structure.